We are back with another tutorial. Now we're going to look at the very infamous bow and arrow choke, and I'm going to go against the grain of the whole jiu-jitsu world. Cool, so please hear me out before you hate me and before you X out this video. Cool. Now, briefly, again, you can look at another actual anatomical tutorial with models and stuff to understand what I'm about to say, but I want to give you 30 seconds of why we're going to use a 2-finger grip instead of 4 fingers. Now, if you look at my hand and where the muscles on the front of my forearm and the back of my forearm are situated, you will see that these 3 fingers create a straight line down the front here and the back of my forearm. And this is very important because when I apply a grip, I need to flex my fingers. I need to bring my fingers towards my wrist. And what you'll see is that my fingers are completely dependent of each other. Now, I have really, really long fingers in the first place. They're not the most flexible or anything like that. But what you will find is that when you're grabbing from the back in particular, around a collar like this, the collar is your worst enemy and your best friend at the same time. Because if the opponent grabs, which we'll see soon, and starts to yank on the collar, it's going to make your grip a lot weaker from your pinky. So we want to hide them here. And that's going to allow me to actually get a lot closer around their throat to maximize the choking pressure. So it goes from the anatomy of the hand and the line of force, which we can't argue, that's impossible. Now, if you're a monster and you have incredibly strong fingers, do whatever you want to do, cool? If you want to look at maximizing the bow and arrow choke and tap people sooner, then you apply this. So we're going to start from the back and we'll look at a couple of things. So from here, I got my hooks in, I got my seat belt. Now I'm starting to feed the collar open. And let's say that I grab with 4 fingers. I can clearly do the bow and arrow choke with 4 fingers, right? So we're here, we're starting to step on the hip, we move across, and it's pretty tight. However, if we move this way a bit. However, if I'm here and Jesse now, just for the sake of showing you what I want to get through in this video, grabs both collars, both hands on one collar, and he starts pushing that collar away. Now, what you'll see here is my pinky is going to start giving way very, very fast. And if Jesse starts peeling off my fingers, he's not going to start from the top here, which he does now. He's going to start from the bottom, which is the weakest point, and get my pinky off. And that's not nice. It's going to break very fast and it's very weak. So here's what I want to get to. So we're here, I open, and now I'm going to go with 2 fingers. And I'm going to do this little trick. I'm going to turn his collar open, and then I'm going to go. Because what's happening here, if the collar is here, it's a lot thicker on my grip. As soon as I rotate that collar away, now, number 1, my grip is stronger because of this, because I'm grabbing around the collar. Number 2, I'm actually starting to torque the collar around his neck, which produces a lot more pressure on the back. And this is a biomechanical fact, it's a physics fact, for God's sake, where, if you look at a tie down on a truck or a trailer over a load, if you twist that, it's going to handle a lot more force. So the same goes here. I'm going to twist it open. Now I'm going to secure my 2-finger grip. If he starts pushing this collar away, it's not going to happen. Now from here, let's look at the mechanism of the actual bow and arrow. I want my hand to start sliding in this way. So if I shoot my bow at home, I shoot here. I pull the string straight to my jaw, just like so. So I want my fingers to go here on Jesse. So if he turns his head, they're going along the jawline here. That's where you want to pull the collar. So I want to go here, and I want to start pulling in this direction. So as I'm falling, I'm shifting, I'm stepping on the hip, and I'm crossing over here, and I'm catching the shoulder. Now I want to start to pull. That's where this 2-finger grip comes into play, because if I've got 4 fingers and I start to pull, if he can resist this, my fingers are going to start slipping away, and I don't want that. Step 1, open and fold, open and fold. Step 2, 2-finger grip. Now I can catch the arm, I can control it somehow if I wanted to. Strong finger grip here if I want to. I can step on the hip, get my leg across. From here, I don't even have to swallow his shoulder, I preferably will. And then I'm going to choke him. But I choke by moving my hand and my fingers in this direction. I don't pull him away from me. I want to pull an arrow on a bow. Step 1, open, open and fold. Now, we can secure this position here nice and strong. Jesse's going to grab his collar with both hands and he's going to try to pull it away. Cool, it's strong, good. Now Jesse's going to try to peel my fingers off. It's not going to happen because they're hidden. Aha, I've got the good grip now. This is how you train it. From here, I'm going to grab, I'm going to start pulling my bow on Jesse's face. I'm going to step on his hip, turn, and then choke. So if Jesse does this to me, I'll show you a few important things here. So here, he's got his seatbelt nice and strong. He opens and folds. Now he gets 2 fingers. And he goes deep, nice and deep. Yes. And you see now, my voice is changing already. So if he just starts grabbing and starts turning to pull, turn your hand the other way. That's it. You see what happens straight away. That's how powerful that movement is. If he turns his wrist away like so, it's going to be very hard. There is nothing here. If he starts turning his wrist in like so to pull an actual bow, and he focuses on getting these 2 fingers on the side of my head, it doesn't matter where I turn my head, I'm going to choke. And the other beautiful hidden little detail here when he does this is that I can't turn my head this way because his elbow and wrist is preventing me from turning. Cool? So, if he grips and he just starts pulling with his front of his forearm facing you, and I start turning my head, there is no choke. If he rotates his arm, just like we've discussed now for 5 minutes, and now he starts pulling and I start rotating, I can't get away. I can't turn my neck down and protect it. So there's so many hidden details with a 2-finger grip. So now, what Jesse's going to do, he's going to grab it, he's going to set up. Ta-da! Should have had the underhook, but that's alright. Nice. Alright, so from here, now we're going to set up the actual choke. So Jesse's going to step on my hip here. He's going to push himself this way, get that across. From here, he swallows my arm, perfect. Now, if he wants to, he can grab my leg, or he can control my arm. It doesn't really make a difference here. So you can do either or. Then he's just going to pull the bow and push me away with his hands. Very, very strong. So, hopefully now you have a better appreciation of a slight variation of the bow and arrow. It's never really taught in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's quite often taught in real old school martial arts like ninjutsu, which that's where I learned it from one of my best friends who is a ninjutsu 15 black belt, where when you do this, it's stronger. It makes the mechanism of the choke a lot harder. It makes it hard for me to start defending that, and it's a lot more efficient for you as a person trying to do the bow and arrow on someone. If you have had great success with 4 fingers, amazing. Use 4 fingers. That's how it was originally taught to do this as well. But at the end of the day, once I was taught this, I never looked back. So for me, it's 2 fingers and never look back. I'm always going to use that for an Ezekiel, for a bow and arrow in particular. If, like I said earlier, you're doing a cross-collar choke or something similar, it is arguably very, very different, and you probably, most of the time, shouldn't use 2 fingers. But that has to do with the line of pull on where you hide your hands, you know, when they're inside compared to when they're outside, like so. Cool. So it's very much a biomechanical and a physics fact more than a personal opinion. If you have any questions, put them down below. And if you want to look more into this 2-finger thing, you just watch the tutorial wherever on the interwebs that tutorial is, hopefully here on the YouTube channel, and you get a better appreciation of that as well. Sick. You're still alive.
Yeah. That's gnarly.
It's fuck day.
Yeah.